Hey guys, Nick here. I'm going to go ahead and just state the obvious. This is a marketing tool for my real estate business. I've been a realtor for 20 years right here in Nashville, but who wants to listen to a boring podcast about real estate? Good news, it's not. This is a podcast about people that I've built relationships with since I moved here in 1988. If what I stand for resonates with you and you're looking to buy or sell a home in this area, let's talk. No pressure, just a conversation, kind of like this podcast.
This is the 615 Podcast with your host, veteran realtor and entrepreneur, Nick Woodard.
All right. Sam Mackey.
My man.
It's good to have you on, brother. I'm excited about this one. You definitely have an interesting story to tell. I'm excited to hear it. So let's start off with an introduction. Sam Mackey. You had a 20-year career as a Navy SEAL. You're the CEO and co-founder of Outsider, which is an outdoor lifestyle brand built around hunting, fishing, and adventure, and spending time outdoors. You are partnered with former NFL and Vanderbilt quarterback Jay Cutler. You're also the co-host of the Take It Outside podcast, also partnering with Jay, where you've interviewed a bunch of really interesting folks. I kind of dug into it yesterday and listened to a couple of them. And we've actually got a shared guest that I didn't realize until I was taking show notes. Chris Ayub.
Mm-hmm. Good
man,
mug.
He's awesome, man. He's the one that did the docuseries Religion Business.
Mm-hmm.
So we had him on here, I don't know, a couple months ago. So, but anyway, but thanks for coming, brother.
I appreciate you having me. Hell yeah.
All right. So on the 615 podcast, I like to bring on people in and around the Nashville area, kind of let them tell their story. So let's just dive into yours, man. Where you from and what was your upbringing like as a kid?
All right. So from military brat, my dad was in the Coast Guard. He enlisted, I believe, when he was 17 and as a bosun's mate, E1, and then had my brother, and I'm not too sure on this exact time frame, but he got out of active duty and then got into the reserves, moved back home to where my mom's from in central Illinois, just outside of Champaign, and was working at a steel mill for a while and going to school at the University of Illinois, and then started working for the sheriff's department and left the steel mill, got his degree and got commissioned. And then he was stationed down in St. Louis. I'm trying to think of the name of the Air Force Base that's right there, Scott Air Force Base. And so I lived there, I believe, the first and second grade and maybe third, and then moved to Northern California in the Bay Area in going into the fourth grade.
Okay.
And lived there all the way through high school or up into my junior year, and then moved to Seattle and joined the Navy out of there. But there was a lot that happened in between there, of course. That's quite a bit of life that led to me joining the Navy. But that's basically where I'm from there. And life growing up, dad worked going to school when I was real little, so gone a lot. And we lived on a handful of acres out in the woods next to a national park or I don't know if it was a national park, but it was a part of Park Service or something like that. And so we had tons of woods in our backyard. So our days consist of, grabbing our Red Riders and just going out in the woods. Me and my brother.
I was about to say, dude, did you grow up being an outdoorsy kid?
Yeah, that's all we would do. I remember my brother had to wait till he was like 5 or something to get his Red Rider, maybe 6. And then I would just always borrow his, and, he got mad. So my parents finally broke down and bought me one. So I don't know how many cartons of those Copperhead BBs we went through. Oh,
God, man, I used to get them by the gallon. Do you remember when you were a kid, like when you upgraded to a pellet gun, like you were the shit? Like when it went from BB to pellet, you were like, all right.
I don't think I ever got a pellet gun.
Oh.
Yeah. I remember, yeah.
That was like going up to 50 cal when you were a kid.
Like, I know, especially I had a couple of friends that had them when I was younger. And the pump ones.
Uh-huh.
And man, we would do some damage with those suckers.
And we'd have BB wars. We're like, all right, you can only pump it 3 times. And then you're back there like 7, 8.
I actually broke out the Red Rider recently. I'm over at the neighbor's house and my daughter comes out. She goes, Dad, there's a bird in the house. I'm like, what? I'm like, where's that? It's like, it's on the counter. I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking it might be hurt or something. So I come home, go in there, and it's sitting on the counter. So I take my shirt off and go to throw it over it, and it flies off. And I'm like, I know the remedy for this issue. So I walk upstairs, grab the old trusty Red Ryder, and put one in him.
Probably
Right in the middle of the house.
Man, so like when we were growing up, you always knew where all the kids were because, of course, our bikes would be all parked up front, but everybody's BB guns would be just stacked up in the corner there. Man, I must have walked every square inch of the Little Harpeth River, just, fishing for, brim. And, if you caught a bass that was 7 inches long, you were, oh man, that was it. So that's kind of where my obsession kind of started as a kid. So, I started hunting young. One of my best friends, his dad is a big waterfowl hunter. Joe Thomas is his name. And he was one of my dear friends growing up. And so that's how I got into hunting, because we were in the 4th grade, and I took the hunters, maybe it was 5th grade. I took the hunter safety or hunter's education class with him. And then his dad would bring us duck hunting all the time. So that's... so you duck hunting is like the ultimate obsession. Yeah. Like every duck hunter I know.
That whole family's still hooked. I never got bit by that bug, or at least I haven't yet. I would go, and then we'd go pheasant hunting. This is in Northern California. We go pheasant hunting quite a bit. We did duck hunting the most, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Really, really wanting to get into deer hunting, but just didn't have the access, or placement or anything of that nature. So I didn't start deer hunting until I got to Virginia Beach and was in the SEAL teams. And I just asked a guy in my platoon, I said, hey, do you know anybody around here that has a lease or a hunting club? I'd like to join one. And this guy was in a different BUD/S class than mine. I think he was a class before. And he's like, yeah, a guy in my class, his dad has a hunting lease. And so reached out to him and joined. And his name was Ron Pogue. And he was just a super, super nice man, and took me under his wing and really taught me everything I know about deer hunting. He just mentored the shit. I mean, it was fabulous.
Well, we're going to dive into a little bit of that. But let's start with how you became a Navy SEAL. All right. Let's knock that out, and then we'll get back into some hunting.
So it started at a young age when I saw the probably the most realistic piece of cinematography ever written about Navy SEALs, and it was a documentary called Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen. Okay. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I could digest that. I watched it at a young age. I think I watched it like the 4th grade, maybe 5th, but I think it was the 4th grade. And I just fell in love with it, especially when he jumps off the bridge, wakes up on the beach, and then they do that VBSS hit. They're banging targets, and I forget where they're at. I'm like, man, like just that high speed, whole part of that that was really intriguing to me. And I didn't play any sports growing up. I boxed my whole life. When we moved to Northern California, there was a boxing gym maybe, a mile from the house. And so I just hopped on my bike and was riding around and saw, like, it was a smaller sign, and it said, Novato Boxing Gym. And I just walked in there and just watched. And then they put me to work. I was cleaning bags and emptying spit buckets and things like that. Then they just started to show me how to box. I'm like, well, I don't think I had money to join or anything of that nature. But I just started kind of working there and helping out. And so boxed my whole life, didn't play any other team sports until my sophomore year. I played football. And then it was right around that same time, into sophomore, junior year, started running with the wrong crowd, and started selling, this in California, started selling weed. And got in trouble, of course.
Sell it there? I thought they just give it out on the street corner in California.
Right? Yeah, it was your girl Kamala Harris that ultimately set me up. And I'll get to that in a second. So I was working at the Gap.
Did you just say your girl?
I just want to sneak that in.
Slide
there.
that shit in.
Remember your hat.
And so got wrapped up in the wrong crowd, started selling weed. And I worked at the Gap at the time in the mall. That's back when people went to malls, and it's where you went to talk to girls and everything. And the Gap was a good spot because all the girls went there, right? And so I was working at the Gap, and then I was selling weed to friends at the Gap and things of that nature. And then my boss walked up. He's like, hey, my friend's going to Tahoe, and he wants an ounce of weed. I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And so I said, just give me my number and tell him to give me a call. And on my Nokia brick phone, and So he gives me a call and I meet him in the movie theater parking lot, and everything about it like felt wrong, but I don't know, $300, you know what I mean? I was young, and sold him an ounce of weed, and there's 28 grams an ounce. I think I sold him like a 31 gram ounce, and for repeating, to get him as a repeating customer. Right. And then, but everything about it stunk. He had a magazine, the High Times magazine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
But like in the center console, it was just weird. Like obviously I found out why. Then I'm sitting in history class, I believe it was 4 weeks later or so, and my vice principal walks in with a cop and says my name. I look back, I'm like, I'm fucked. So got up, went to the vice principal's office, and then they like questioned me for a long time, and I didn't say anything. And then I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, man, don't they have to read me my rights? And so I'm like, hey, don't my parents have to be here? Don't you have to read me my rights? Because I was 17, and their face dropped. And then they read me my rights. I'm like, what's going on here? Am I going to juvie? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, let's go. So went down there, got into juvenile hall, and then they offered, like, hey, you can call your parents if you want. I said, absolutely not. You can call them.
Like, I'm safer in here than calling dad. Like, nope.
And so sat in there for about a week or 10 days, and then I was able to go to court a couple times. I was in there, and the last time I was able to, they let me out on house arrest, because when I got arrested for selling weed to an undercover cop, having over an ounce of weed, and both of those were felonies, and then a fake ID, and I believe that was a felony too. And so I was released on house arrest while I went through all my like court procedures, right? And that was about 6.5 months, and then left all that. I got off house arrest and was on what's called deferred entry of judgment probation, because at the time California had the 3-strike rule, and it was for violent felonies, so I didn't really necessarily fall under that whole umbrella, but I was scared to shit of it, and because if I didn't get in trouble for 2 years, my record got expunged. If I did get in trouble, I went to jail for everything that I've done as an adult. And they kept saying, oh, it's 3 strikes. It could be life in prison. But looking back, that wasn't the case, right? I'm sure I would have not enjoyed whatever I got issued, though, right? So I wanted to get that out from over my head. So at this time, I'm off house arrest. My dad got stationed up in Seattle, Washington, and so we moved up there. And when I was on house arrest, I was able to homeschool, so I got all my credits I needed to graduate. But I wanted to go do my senior year of high school and be a kid. Yeah. So went and talked to the school. They were able. They let me go to school. So my senior year, I took home ec, weightlifting, PE, and ceramics, and it was great. I had a great senior year, but I just had the weight of my probation over my head, and I didn't have a driver's license and all that shit. So I called my probation officer and I said, hey man, if I join the Navy, will you let me off probation? And he's like, well, I can ask the judge. I think he said, I'll get back to you in a day or two. And he calls me the next day. He's like, yep. He's like, the day you join is the day you're off probation. And I ran to that recruiter's office. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I want to.
Was it hard getting in because of that, or did they?
No, actually at the time, they had felony waivers to join the SEAL teams if you can pass all the physical tests. I didn't need one of those, but my dad was a senior officer at the time. He was an 06 in the Coast Guard. He helped me out. I'm not too sure, how much or what, but I know there was some separate conversations he had with my recruiter. But I don't it was all on the up and up 100% because back then they were, letting anybody in for the most part. So I was able to get a SEAL contract and
wait. So you went from, okay, I may be in trouble to, okay, I may join the Navy to straight SEAL. Yeah. Like was your whole idea was like, screw this. I'm going straight to SEAL.
Yeah, 100% because my brother, he was in the Army and at the time, and he was infantry guy, then went counterintelligence. And at this time, he was like on his second deployment to Iraq, maybe. And I called him, or maybe I talked to him. I don't think he was deployed at the time. Now I think about it, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to join the military. I'm looking at joining the Army and going Special Forces. He goes, he's like, dude, be a Navy SEAL. You've always wanted to do one. He's like, I saw how those guys live over here, and they're living a good life compared to us. Like we're living on cots in a big tent. And those guys have their own room. They get treated so well. He's like, it'd be worth it. So I'm like, all right. So I'm going to go be a Navy SEAL. So signed all the paperwork, I think the following week, and waited for my turn to go to boot camp.
Dude, that's wild. Yeah. Wild turn of events. Just
getting in
so
trouble.
what was the timeline between, hey, if I do this, will this be expunged versus going into boot camp?
So I signed all my papers like a week or two later, and then I had to wait till this is summer of 2003, and then I had to wait till January of 24 to go to boot camp.
Okay, so
because they were a little backed up.
Yeah, not too terribly long.
Nope. So I just worked out and like stayed at home. I had a girlfriend. I just didn't want to get in any trouble.
I was going to say, you're sitting there. I can't do anything. I get
busted drinking at a house party.
Yeah.
I'm hosed. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I was living like a cockroach a little bit. And then but like I said, as soon as I left, it was all over. Or they ended my probation when I signed the papers because I couldn't go to boot camp or anything like that on probation, if I remember correctly.
So like everybody talks about or heard about Hell Week.
Yeah.
Explain what it's really like from someone who's done it, survived it.
So, I mean, the worst part is Sunday night, I want to say in the tent. Sunday night and then Friday morning, I want to say are the two worst parts. They have you in the tents on the beach, like army tents, right? And there's cots in there. And the sun goes down. You don't know when it's going to start, and it's called breakout. And but you're staring down the barrel of a monster, right, that you're about to embark on. And then tons of gunfire happens. RD sims go off, so it's all blank machine guns and artillery simulators that they're throwing in these big concrete tubes. So it's just they create chaos, right? And then they kick you out of the tents, make you get wet and sandy, and it's just pure chaos for the first handful of hours. And of them beating you, like you're crawling everywhere, anything you can think of, push-ups, flutter kicks, the whole 9 yards. I think you have to crawl through the little like shit creek that's right by the compound, or it's not a shit creek, but it stinks, right?
Straight Shawshank.
Yeah, and I mean you're doing just about everything, and then throughout the week it feels like progressively worse. And but I think Sunday night or Monday morning, you run down to the elephant cages, which is down the Strand, so a handful of miles, maybe 7-10 miles down there, and you spend 2 days down there running around, and then come back. I think we came back Tuesday night to the Coronado area, and you just run the beach the whole way, and then you eat your first meal at the chow hall either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. I think Tuesday night we ate our first meal at the chow hall.
A couple days without.
No, you eat MREs, but they'll make you get in chest deep water sit down, and so you're sitting in the surf zone, chest deep water, eating an MRE,
the face.
Right? So like your shit's soaked. I do remember one good meal,
salty.
Yeah. And we got to sit by our boats on the Oak Horse and eat one time, and that was pretty relaxing. That could have been Tuesday or so, because I remember looking over, and the guy next to me, he stopped eating. And that's one like telltale sign if someone's probably going to quit. And you have to eat, and you have to eat as much as you can at every meal. And you'll see the guys that are motivated because they're motivated to eat to give their body energy, right? And this guy was eating real slow. And then he's like, yeah, I think I'm done. And I just looked at, and he had this MRE, maybe it was like cheese tortellini out of a B box, right? Which is a very coveted one at the time. Yeah. I'm like, dude, let me get that MRE. He's like, here you go. I'm like, see ya. Particular guy ended up making it into the SEAL teams and was a real good guy.
Did you ever consider quitting?
No.
It was never an option.
Yeah. I don't know. Two things. I couldn't bring that shame to myself and my family. And then I didn't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah.
Right. And, so did a lot of growing up, kind of alone, right? And I just didn't have a plan B, and so I knew I was going to make it. Then Thursday, you just play fuck games the whole time because they just try to keep you awake after Wednesday, right? Yeah. And everyone that's going to quit has already quit. And then Friday morning, it's going to end at some point, right? On Friday, you're just not too sure. Is it going to end at 10 o'clock, or is it going to end later in the day? and you're so chafed and you're so ready for it to be over. Like that's another worse.
I'd heard Sean Ryan say something about, hey, grab sand, stick it in your crotch. Just like rub it all in your butt crack and in your armpits.
We didn't have to. I mean, the sand naturally works itself there, but I don't think I ever got told to do that per se. I mean, you'd have to do things with a mouthful of seawater, like anything you can think of. But your neck, you have to wear a life jacket the whole time. And so your neck just gets, turns into hamburger. And then same with your crotch and your waistline. And I still have scars on the inside of my legs from it. Like it just jacks you up. Then, on Monday you start all over.
So like when you get towards the end, like you're saying on Friday, do you get this boost of confidence? Like, okay, this is almost like there's a point you've made it past.
There's, luckily I'm pretty good at staying awake, but there's some guys, that were pretty out of it on Friday morning, right? Like just nodding off uncontrollably. I was pretty with it and I could, see the light at the end of the tunnel, knew I was going to make it and knew it's a big deal. And then you start getting excited about like, hey, can't wait to make that phone call, tell someone you made it through. And, that carries you the next couple of days. But my goal was when I first started, I'm like, man, I just want to make it Tuesday. I'm going to give this a shot. Right. And then work meal to meal, do everything they said. And I just kind of did what they said, made it to Tuesday. I'm like, well, shit, let's go to Wednesday. I'm like, well, no one quits after Wednesday, so I can't quit. So that's how.
So did you make it through on the first go?
I did not. So made it through Hell Week and failed a run. And then the following week failed another run.
So what's considered fit? Just not making time?
Not making time.
Okay.
Yep. And the times get incrementally faster with phase, per phase, right? So there's first phase times, second phase times, third phase times. Third phase times are the fastest, right? And so failed 2 runs. So I got rolled and I was failing the runs because my foot hurt real bad after Hell Week. And then when I was in what's called brown shirt rollback land, because you wear a white shirt before you go into Hell Week and then a brown shirt once you graduate Hell Week. And but then if you fail something or you get hurt, you go to rollback land, and that's where you work on your deficiency or you heal up. And you get one of those. And
so if you fail a run, you don't have to go back through Hell Week again, do you?
No. Okay. You start after Hell Week. There's milestones where if you get rolled where you start, right? So in first phase, if you make it through Hell Week and you get rolled while you're in first phase after Hell Week, you get rolled back to the Monday after Hell Week is where you start with the class behind you. If you make it to like Tuesday at Hell Week, and get hurt, you get a roll, but then you have to start week 1, day 1, which is, I'm glad I never had to do that. Yeah. But actually I did. So I'll get to that in a second. So, was in brown shirt rollback land, went to medical, had a stress fracture in my left foot. So they put me on crutches. And, then, I think there's about 8 or 12 weeks in between classes. And, we were getting close to the class behind us classing up, and we're on the O course with, these instructors. And, because the original instructor for brown shirt rollback land had just retired. And so these 2 younger guys took over and they read the names of the folks classing up on Monday. And my name was on the list. I'm standing there on crutches. And I'm like, well, why am I classing up? They're like, well, on paper, you got a performance role, not a med role. I'm like, well, Master Chief said he was going to change it into a performance or into a med role. And he's like, well, he never did. So I classed up Monday and failed the run. And, but they knew there was, like that kind of stunk. So they let me do one more, if I remember correctly. I did one more, failed it. And they're like, hey, we're going to give you one more shot. And it's going to be the first day of second phase. So classed up the first day of second phase, failed that run and got dropped. And it was probably the most embarrassing, one of the most embarrassing things I've been through. And so, I tried to fight it a little bit because part of it was horse shit, but I didn't, want to be the victim or anything of that nature. So fought it for a bit. It wasn't going anywhere. So then you're up for orders at that point. And before BUD/S, I went to A school at the time is what you had to do. And I went to A school to become a master at arms and so like a base cop. So I got, so I was up for orders. I was going to have to go be a master at arms somewhere. And so I picked Sigonella, Italy. And just to get as far away from anybody as I possibly could, because I was so ashamed of myself, man. And I went over there for a year and a half, and it took a long time. It took a lot of effort to get back to BUD/S. there was a point where I didn't think there was a chance I was going to get back to buds because I got in a little trouble too. I wasn't a good cop. And,
yeah, you're selling weed.
Yeah, right. And, but I met one of my best friends and we ended up rooming together and we ended up in the SEAL team. He ended up in SEAL teams also, and he also just retired. So we worked really, really hard to get back to buds, and then unfortunately got in trouble right as we got orders. And he had to go to the fleet for 2 more years, but it was primarily, I was covering for him, but none of us said anything. And they couldn't kind of prove me wrong, if you will. And so I was able to go back to buds, and he had to go to the fleet for like another year and a half before he was able to go. But he showed up to buds as I was graduating after I went back. So went back, started the whole thing from scratch. Hell Week was just Hell Week again. So unfortunately I had to go through a whole nother one of those.
So you did 2 Hell Weeks.
Yeah. And
mentally, was it easier the second go around because you know what to expect?
I knew.
I don't say easier, but like psychologically, you kind of know what's coming.
The only easy part is I knew what to expect out of myself.
Yeah.
Right. Like I knew I could make it. Yeah. And so
you probably know what your tendencies are around, okay, day 2, I'm probably going to feel this way. And
I went in with a different attitude the second time. The first time, I was young, I was 19. I went in to survive and make it. And the second time I went back to win. Like I want to win every fucking race. Yeah. I want to, be the, best guy in the class. I just had a different attitude, Yeah. So in our boat crew, we won absolutely everything. So got a lot more breaks than other folks, and we did really well. And then it wasn't till I rolled my ankle on the island in 3rd phase right before graduation. So I was able to stay healthy the whole time, which is another feat in itself. Yeah, a lot of guys don't quit or anything, but they just keep getting hurt, because you run so much and your bones start to break. People get stress fractures all the time. So a lot of it is luck and just staying healthy, right? On top of not quitting. So made it straight through the second time with no issues whatsoever. And that was also daunting itself, because I hadn't been into 2nd phase. I hadn't been in the 3rd phase. So, but I had changed my, my mental makeup and my approach. So it made it somewhat easier, and I did real well in 1st phase, and I wanted to continue that into 2nd and 3rd phase. So
what kind of separates the guys that make it from those that don't? Like, is it pure insanity, mental toughness, and kind of to piggyback that, do you kind of have an idea of the dudes going into it, or are you really surprised on kind of who makes it and who doesn't? Like, does someone stand out that you didn't really going into it? You're like, I don't know if this guy's got it.
Great question. So I remember my first time I showed up, I looked around, I'm like, man, I'm fucked. And like there's grown men here that looks like they belong in men fitness magazines. Right. Yeah. And then after Hell Week, you look around and it's just like typically a bunch of good old boys from the South. Yep. Right. So to answer your question, I think that has a lot to do with parenting, right? And or the lack of, right?
Okay.
And I think this segues also into later on in guys' careers with PTSD and everything of that nature. I think guys that had a rougher upbringing are used to being alone and mentally and physically and dealing with hard problems on their own, right? Because they kind of grew up doing it, right? Yeah. And I advise someone that came from a house with like an immense amount of love and kind of your parents help you solve all your issues and things of that nature. Those folks have a harder time, in buds, and I believe a harder time later on in life, right? With PTSD and things of that nature. So I think there's a, perfect mixture of neglect, yet you have a home that you could go back to and you have parents that you can kind of depend on. I think it's this weird interwoven mental makeup that you can't do anything about as a human being. Sure. It's how you were raised. I think that mixture sets guys up for success. I'm not saying there's not outliers on either side, right? Guys that come from absolutely perfect homes with perfect families and those guys do make it, right? As well, but it's not as prominent, I don't think, right?
It was like you said, like some guys that don't make it, they're like, okay, didn't make it, I get to go back home to whatever. You're like, I got nothing.
Yep.
So this is it. I have to do it.
Exactly. And it's just interesting, and it gets, even more interesting as you go through your career and you have to meet with all these psychs after deployment, and you kind of talk to them and say, hey, what are you looking for? Right. Like what, and learn from them as well. That's how I, over the course of, 25 years now, I've kind of put all this together. But it's, wrestling helps. Wrestlers have a very high success rate. I think the Academy's had one wrestler quit at the Naval Academy. And I remember when it was. I don't remember the date or anything like that.
Technique, discipline. Yeah.
I remember when it happened, it was a huge deal for the Academy because the wrestling program never had anybody quit. And this one guy did. I forget what year it was. But, wrestling, individual sport, combative sport, right? No one's going to come save you. You have to put in all the work on your own. So wrestlers do real well. But overall, it's just, you never know. But most guys have somewhat of a troubled past in some. So they're not a stranger to a bar fight. They're not a stranger to kind of running with the wrong crowd at times. And they've lived a lot of their life, kind of in the gray, if you will. That's the personality that typically shows up to the SEAL teams.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Man. So, okay, you get in, are you comfortable with discussing kind of any of your missions or situations you found yourself in?
Yeah, I'll talk about anything, but I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything that any other person with a trident on their chest hasn't done for the most part.
Yeah.
I fortunately it was able to deploy to some cool places and do some cool things. But
so you almost had a record for like a longest shot or something.
Yeah, but I missed.
But you missed. What's the story on that?
So we're in Afghanistan, and we're coming home from an op, and it might have been a 2-dayer or something like that. And we drive by this village and we get shot at, and the sun's already up. So we're like, hey, let's DD out back home. And because we were just a couple miles from home, or our base, right? And then formulated a plan to go back. And because I think that might have been the second time that they shot at us as we were coming home or leaving, and or the guys we were with had been shot at them by them before. So go back, get some sleep during the day, formalize a plan, and I believe we rolled out that night. We might have waited one more cycle of darkness. I can't remember correctly. And so then we infilled on foot, because I think it was like 7 kilometers away. So we just walked there and set up 7 OP or sniper hides around them. And each sniper hide had a couple snipers and a couple AW gunners, so guys with automatic weapons. And then at the break of day, we had guys come straight up the valley on KTMs and side-by-sides to draw these guys out. And I was in a sniper hide, the furthest one away, with the ground force commander, because there's another village over here with some shady characters in it that we were going to watch. And we were also right above a dried out riverbed, which could have been a main point of egress for them if they didn't go back into the village. And so we have the guys in the KTMs come right up the pipe, right up the village, and just ripping and roaring on those things, and so they could be heard. These guys come out and they have their PKMs and their ammo boys carrying all the ammo, and they're starting to get set up. And then we command fire on them, so everyone just unleashes, hell on them. Well, one guy's out there like Gumby and somehow didn't get hit, right? And starts making his way back to the village. And my ground force commander's like, hey, we can't let him get back in the village because then he'll disappear and you don't know who's who, right? So I'm like, well, I'm going to lob one at him. And I have my 50 cal, and I have my turret, I had it 0 to 800 yards. And I had my turret maxed out at 61 minutes at this time, because he was 2,223 meters away. And I've done this in my head a couple times, preparing for like a real long shot. I actually did it like a couple nights before. So I knew that it was outside of my reticle. And so I found him, and then there's a tree behind him. So I climbed the tree with my reticle and then moved my crosshairs into the wind on a branch and let one ride. And I had my JTAC watching, and he's like, and I was shooting rockets rounds. So they're armor piercing explosive incendiary rounds. So they have petting in the tip, so they explode when they hit. So you can see where your bullet landed, right? And I was shooting a 50 cal. I don't know if I said that before, but let one fly. He's like 5 yards shy or 10 yards shy, 5 yards to the right. Loaded another one, let it fly. He's like 5 yards, just right in front of him. I'm like, perfect. Let another one go. And he's like, looks at me, he's like, I think you just tagged him. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And my buddy rolls up to me on a KTM, and they're all talking. They're like, yeah, I think Sam hit him. And like, no way. And so at that point, a Kiowa checks on station. It's a Army like attack helicopter. And so I'm talking to him like, hey, we have a couple key EKIA on this hilltop, and I need to check this riverbed as well, because he was gophering up out of this riverbed. And when I let one fly, he's like, yeah, there's a guy down here in the ditch without a head. And I'm like, oh, and then I'm like Stone Cold Steve Austin up there, just high. I'm like, because the world record at the time was like, I think 1.22 or 2.4 miles. So almost a mile and a quarter. Jeez. And this was 1.47. So this is almost a mile and a half. So I think I just beat it by a quarter mile. And I mean, we're ecstatic. We lose a little bit of situation awareness as we're high fiving. We're like, oh fuck.
Keep it down.
And then my buddy on the KTM, I'm like, hey dude, like take this KTM or maybe it was in a side by side. He was in a side by side, I think. Take this side by side and go down there and park it on top of this dude, because I just want to make sure everything lines up. And he gets down there. He's like, yeah, dude, there's a guy down here, right by in front of the side by side. I'm like, is he, because I got behind my gun again. I was watching, completely where it was. I'm like, yeah, that checks out. And we were actually deployed with the Lithuanians, and those guys are bad to the bone. Okay. And Lithuanian, our ground force commander was Lithuanian, and he walks over. He's like, good news, bad news. Said bad news. He's like, you didn't kill him. I'm like, all right, good news. He's like, he's still dead. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, well, what happened? He's like, well, your second round just barely missed him. It could have been a foot. I don't know what barely means. Could have been a foot away. Could have been 3 foot away. We had a guy, Red Dog. We called him huge red beard, long red hair, Lithuanian Special Forces guy. And he's like, you were pushing him right into Red. And after before you fired your last shot, he gophered up. It's probably what you saw too. And Red was 400 yards away and just put one right in his nose. Yeah. Still, hey, you miss every shot. Yeah. You take or you don't take, right?
Mile and a half.
But I was just lucky that I did the mental preparation for that.
Of course.
Because there was, we look at some guys and they're just so far away, and we didn't have a javelin, so anytime an aircraft checks on station, all the guys run. So it's like, hey, how can we get this done from really far away without a javelin? So that's why I was just kind of crunching numbers in my head to see what that looked like with the ballistics, and I able to scare the shit out of them.
So you're doing most of this calculation in your head.
Yeah.
And then I guess you get what your spotter kind of dictates.
We don't have spotters. I had a JTAC with me, right? And he didn't have a gun that can reach that far. So that's the only reason he was able to, watch my rounds. Because typically, or 100% of the time, really, we just don't have spotters. Yeah. Everyone's behind a gun.
Sure.
And you do it for yourself. But luckily, he was able to watch that. And what I did is I got on the guy and then counted the mills up the tree. And how many mills, and luckily there was a straight tree behind him. Yeah. And so I forget what it was now. I'm like, and I forget how many mills are in that night force reticle. We used to shoot minutes, but our scope was in mills. And so I forget how many mills above him that I had to climb. And then I just went left onto a tree branch to hold into the wind and sent it.
Man, that is a wild story, man. So let's get into something else, man. We mentioned earlier you're an avid outdoorsman. This may seem like a strange question to ask for those listening that aren't hunters, and I think I know what your answer is going to be. Do you enjoy the prep of the hunt as much as you do the hunt? Like, I'm obsessed with the prep, like the preseason stuff, managing the property, getting the green fields right, off-season scouting, all that stuff.
I do. I don't have a lease or anything. Jay's nice enough to let me, hunt his place, and he has a farm manager, Luke, who's absolutely amazing, one of the most knowledgeable outdoorsmen that I've ever met in my life, and so I've learned a lot from him. However, I'll digress back to Virginia Beach when I was a member of a hunt club, And you had to do everything on your own,
Yeah.
right? So you're out there clearing shooting lanes, hanging stands, making your food plots. And it was a lot of work, but it is so freaking rewarding when the fall comes around and you have deer coming to, because everyone has their own little spot. At least that's how we had it at our hunt club. And like, hey, I'm prepping this spot. And it kind of went through seniority, right? How long you've been a member. And I showed up the youngest guy and stayed the youngest guy till I left the hunt club, right? And we had a couple of other guys join, but a couple other team guys. But I truly love the prep. I really do. And game camera pictures is like when I used to have to drive like an hour and 45 minutes.
Now
right?
it's just you're addicted to it.
And I drive an hour and 45 minutes and I'd do that just to go check my game cameras. And I'd bring those, and I didn't have a laptop at the time, I don't think. So I'd bring those SD cards home and it was like Christmas morning, plugging those things in to my computer and like, what do we got? Oh, look at him, look at him. And
it's like my wife thinks I'm insane for naming my deer.
Oh,
it's like I've got 3 that I've been watching for a while. I got Beamer, Curly, and Julio. Ooh. And it's like I'm watching them progress through the years. And she's like, "You're absolutely insane." I'm like, "Oh, Julio showed up. Look." She's like, "That wow, that's
that's."
I'm like, "You don't understand. I haven't seen Julio in 6 weeks, and then he came back. That's a big deal."
That's the program that Jay runs up in Kentucky. All the deer are named, pictures of them all. Like we had a hunt up there for my other company. It's called The Ruck, and we had hosted a hunt up there. And I treated it kind of like we were deploying overseas. So I made a target deck. So all the shooters already had names, but I gave them objective names, like they were like the head of Al Qaeda, right? And the does were like the Foot Clan and the foot soldiers. Like, hey, we have to take out, everyone. Hopefully takes out 2 or 3 foot soldiers, and then I had intel updates, and but up at Jay's place, he names all his deer, and he has pictures of them all on a wall. And then after someone harvests them, they go to the RIP wall over here, and you just have to sign the picture.
That's
so
wild.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, like I won't even wear cologne past September.
Oh yeah,
I'm like no, I can't do anything that gives them the upper hand.
My prep for the hunt itself, I go into that pretty extensively. Is like, okay, I'm going here. What all do I need, right? What could I need, and put a lot into it. But then the other times, I feel like I just cold bore it and go up there with just my bow or just a gun. Then I'll be damn. It happens in like 15 minutes, right?
You pump gas right before you get up there.
Exactly.
Well, man, you do something that I think is pretty awesome, man. I really wanted to dive into this one. Tell us about the hunts you do with the Gold Star wives.
Yep. So that is probably one of the most things, or that is one of the things I'm most proud of in my life that I've done this far. And so it started a handful of years ago. I see a bunch of my buddies' widows on social media. They start to hike, they're starting to fish. Then I see a couple of gals start shooting long guns, and a couple of gals start shooting bows. And I'm like, oh, this is one particularly is one of my dear friends, Charlie Keating IV, his wife Brooke, and we're still dear friends to this day. And so I asked Jay, I said, hey man, I see a couple of my buddies' widows, like the Gold Star Wives crew. They go on retreats and things of this nature, and they were all together. And I see them starting to shoot bows and guns. I think it'd be cool if I reach out to them, see if they invite maybe 3 or 4 of them down to Kentucky for a hunt. It's like, yeah, love that idea. And as we talked about, he's like, well, what if,
Are these at Jay's place, or do you kind of jump it around?
We've done them all at Jay's place up in Kentucky thus far. Looking at doing one in Texas in January this year. Okay. He's like, hey, what if, they don't take to it, or, I don't know if there's any sort of triggers that might happen. Sure. I'm like, hey, worst case scenario, I'll make a killer charcuterie board and bring a bottle of wine to the tree stand, and we'll sit there and drink wine and eat a charcuterie board and watch the woods come alive. Like there's endless studies.
I'm gonna say, I'm willing to bet it's far less based on harvesting an animal than it is just being with them and having that experience.
And that's what hunting is for me now, whether it's the camaraderie or just the time outdoors. I mean, there's endless studies about how, nature is good for your mental health. And I just try to absorb that part of the hunt as much as I can. Right. And if a target buck walks out, or I'm able to call a turkey in or something, great. But if not, that's totally fine too. Right. And, So I told him, I'm like, yeah, I'll just bring a bottle of wine and charcuterie board to a tree stand, and we'll sit there in silence and eat good snacks and drink a couple bottles of good wine, and
just like hunting with the kids again.
Yeah, right, exactly. And but luckily, the first one it went off without a hitch. All the girls shot a lot of does. I don't think. Oh, I one target buck did walk out, so I think we put if I remember correctly, put a buck on the ground that hunt, and it went really, really well. So I'm like, hey, this is something I want to continue to do. Did the second year bigger and better, and we'll bring in a chef, we'll bring in a country music artist, to sing around the campfire. We try to really make it a cool event for them, right? And then the third year, we got now we have awesome companies like Montana Knife Company, Eberly Stock, Black Rifle, sending out goods. Chrissy Titus has a jewelry line. Jewelry, that's a tough word to say. Jewelry line, and she'll send out jewelry for the gals. And people that or companies send out a bunch of stuff. We make awesome care packages and try to. That's
awesome to see people getting on board, trying to make it something.
And it's just it's been so cool to see it progress over the years and who's all gotten involved. And the third year, I reached out to the Navy SEAL Foundation and asked if they would cover the flights for 4 gals from Norfolk, Virginia to Nashville. And they're like, hey, unfortunately, we don't have any more money in that line of accounting. And that really bothered me because don't get me wrong, I love veterans, but I've seen it, unfortunately, too many times where someone will get hurt or killed, and all the support in the world just comes in, and then 3 months later, when the dust settles, someone else has already gotten hurt or killed, and that woman's left there, trying to navigate this new life with young babies and no husband. And I think we, as a community, especially in naval special warfare, owe our Gold Star families a lot more than we're giving them currently.
Well, I'm willing to bet just by having this and bringing them together, now they create their own community.
Mm-hmm.
They've all gone through this tragedy together, so that creates relationships for them and healing and bonding and
absolutely. And I've been told by the Gold Star wives, like, hey, 3 or 4 is the number, right? Because it's just a lot of feelings, a lot of emotion throughout the weekend, and a lot of times I just try to stand there and not say much and support any way I can, right? And back to the Navy SEAL Foundation, I having money in that line of accounting, that really bugged me. So months later, I reached out to him, and this was last year, and say, hey, I want to partner with you guys, and I would like to donate a portion of proceeds to the Navy SEAL Foundation, but more specifically, only the Gold Star family's line of accounting. Went back and forth just 1 or 2 times, and they're like, yep, let's do it. So I stood up that program, and then this last Gold Star Wives Hunt was pretty cool. We were able to get on Fox and Friends and get some notoriety and some local news networks, and the outpour of support has just been amazing, right? And
I want to get involved with that.
It is so cool.
When we get done with this show, show me how we can get involved.
Okay,
because that's fantastic. I love everything about that.
It's to me like the coolest thing. Outsider does, and now it's the backbone of Outsider. It's who we are, right? And to date this year, we've donated, I believe, $25,000 to the Navy SEAL Foundation. Could be 20. I forget it's 20 or 25. And our goal for the year was 25, and so we'll surpass that pretty easily. And we've also partnered with awesome nonprofits like SCI's. We're in with SCI. They're one of our great partners, and what we're doing. I don't want to say what we're doing next year, but have something extremely cool lined up.
Great.
That we partnered with SCI to bring to fruition for 2 Gold Star wives and their sons. So
what has being around these women taught you?
I don't know shit about resilience. And like, I just got goosebumps, man. You want to talk about like awesome, resilient, beautiful, hardworking, put together women after going through the most, catastrophic thing that you might be able to, might go through in your life. Besides, I hope it never happens to anyone, but I hope no one loses a kid. But
Right, right.
it's the second worst thing, right? To lose your partner. And man, I don't have shit to complain about. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
right.
these girls, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine, right? They didn't sign up for that. But
Yeah.
you know, that's what Outsider is now, man. My sole mission is to create an awesome brand.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
Outsider a little
Yep.
bit. Because you kind of do all this stuff that just ties together.
Yep.
You're almost finding an arm and going, okay, we can tie this to this and this and this.
And you know, that's why I just feel like it was meant to be what I'm doing now, right? So Outsider started, Jay and I were hunting together up at his place in Kentucky, and he already had the foundation for it. And it was going a different direction. And then we had an idea for a cooler. And so over the course of the week, I wasn't involved in Outsider at all. I was going to retire and move to Boerne, Texas, and start a concrete company. And then over the course of that week when we were hunting, I became the products guy for Outsider. And we were working on a cooler. The cooler never came to fruition. We were a little ahead of our time. It was a carbon fiber cooler. But then we created drinkware to complement the cooler. And the drinkware came to fruition, the cooler didn't. And then as soon as the AM, our coffee mug here, as soon as it landed, I go on a hunt with Matt Bess and his wife because we have the same mentor, a gentleman by the name of John Hughes, one of my dear friends, an awesome human being. And he told us, he's like, hey, Sam, grab your wife. Matt, grab your wife. You're going to come hunting down in Texas with Pam and I, his wife. And I went down there, and over the course of a couple of days, I give one of these coffee mugs to Matt, and he's like, oh, what do you want to do with this? I said, well, shit, it'd be cool if I met someone with a large coffee company that wanted to sell them. And he goes, oh yeah, cool. We'll buy some. And I think they bought 1,700 units, something of that nature. And the AM sold out in 3 days. And they priced them $10 higher than I told them to. So I was worried that they're going to sit on the shelves, right? And and they sold out right away. So it was a good proof of concept. And then we were able to get drinkware in some stores and develop our brand a little bit more. And now it's all came full circle. It took me about 3 years to put together, where we have an awesome, outdoor brand and sell awesome drinkware. And we have, the coolest part of our organization is our give back and what we do with Gold Star wives and Gold Star families. And now just trying to take as much real estate from our competitors as we possibly can.
Yeah. So how in the world does a Navy SEAL and an NFL quarterback end up together?
So great question.
'Cause he's a hoot, man. I went to dinner with him. It was a group probably 4 or 5 years ago, and we literally just sat and talked conspiracy theory. Like that's all we talked about all night long.
So I was golfing with a guy, and it was at a Navy SEAL, like I think it was at a reunion. We have the East Coast reunion and West Coast reunion every year. It's around July, August timeframe. And a guy in my platoon brought a friend, and I have no clue who this cat is. And he's like, hey, I'm going to pair you with my friend Frank, and I'm going to go with, whoever else. I forget who was our fourth. I'm like, all right, cool. So, it's early in the morning, about to tee off. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go get a 9-holer and some beers. You want one? He's like, yeah, sure. He's like, what's a 9-holer? I'm like, well, I do vodka Red Bull with a splash of OJ in it. And in a big cup. It should last you 9 holes. And if not, I'll get some beers. He's like, yeah, all right. I'm like, man, this guy's pretty cool, right? Granted, it's a party day, right? And so we're, sitting down there about to tee off. And actually, I believe we were on the first green. And I'm like, so what do you do? And he's like, oh, I coach football. Like, what do you do? I said, I'm in the Navy, and, I'm in the SEAL teams. And he's like, oh, cool. And then, I don't know, 3 or 4 holes later, I'm like, so what do you teach? And he looks at me and goes, well, what are you talking about? I'm like, you teach like economics, you teach PE. And he goes, no, I'm a football coach. I'm like, yeah, but most coaches like teach also. Uh-huh. He's like, no, I don't teach. And he's like, I teach football. I'm like, well, who do you coach for? He's like, Chicago Bears. I'm like, oh shit, you are a coach. Like, all right, I got it.
And you're just a guy in the Navy too,
right?
It's like both y'all are bullshitting each other.
Yeah, and so then we become friends, and I think that following year I go to Afghanistan, or that year I can't remember, and then I got home around September timeframe, and he's like, hey, you mind coming up next month and talking to my tight ends, because he was a tight end coach for the Bears, and talking to the tight ends at the team dinner the night before the game. I said, yeah, absolutely love to. Well, the quarterback showed up and the kickers did too. And then Jay and I, he's real nice. I actually gave everyone my number afterwards. I said, here's my number. If you have any questions, want to BS, and about anything, go ahead and shoot me a message. Worst thing is going to happen. You're going to get an accidental dick pic or something. You know what I mean? So, but don't worry about that. You guys in locker rooms all day long, or I said something just smart, right? And then Jay sent me a note, a real nice note, and afterwards, and then him and I started talking about hunting, and started hunting together, and just became friends.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
you have a podcast together too?
Yep.
I was gonna say, you've had some great people on. Willie Robertson,
nicest guy in the world,
dude. He's on my list of I gotta meet that guy.
Nicest gentleman in the world, man. He
from Duck Dynasty, if y'all don't know.
Mm-hmm. He just released his book. I think it was last year, maybe 18 months ago or so. And so had him on, and like I said, nicest guy in the world.
You've had Hegseth.
Yep, we had Pete on.
Was that was before SecDef, wasn't he?
Yep, correct. Okay. And right before, handful of months anyway. And so we've had Pete on. We had someone else on. I forget. Then my buddy Jared Hudson. So we were batting 1,000 for folks getting into office, and then my buddy Jared Hudson came on. He was my swim buddy and buds. He was running for Senate and a Senate seat in Alabama, and just barely lost a couple of months ago. But I was really pulling for him. He's an outstanding human being. In Alabama, you fucked up not getting him.
Yeah.
So,
well, dude, you guys have a really cool thing going on. I hope you keep it going, man. I know you've had BG, Tracy Lawrence. Like, I was looking at studying last night. I was like, man, dude, those are interesting people. Not just like well-known or whatever, but like interesting people that have an awesome story. It's like, do you have one you're really shooting for that you really would like to get?
So we're making some changes with our podcast. We're going to bring it on location, right? And we're still figuring out what that looks like 100%, but I have it baked about 80% right now. And, so we want to go to people's houses and do it on location, and kind of give people a little insight of our guest. Actually, we'll be a guest in their house or on their property. Insight into kind of like what their daily routine is, and or their outdoor routine, their prep routine, depending on the time of the year. And so working on that. I have a couple people in mind, that are local here, because you don't have to travel far, to find some cool folks. So I'd like to visit a couple farms. I'd like to do it with Tyler again. Like to do it with, I've already talked to Brantley about it, and Aaron. They're like, yep, come on down. So to be completely honest with you, it's just a little too damn hot right now.
Oh, it's
so I was gonna wait a month or so, but our podcast going forward is gonna look a little different.
Okay.
Right? And but I'm excited for it.
Well, man, I bet Cutler's a fun hang.
Yeah, he's a good human being. One of those selfless, nicest people you'll ever meet.
Who's a better hunter?
Ooh, great question. Great question. I'll give it to him.
I got you, man. Just a couple more I want to run through here, and then I'll let you go, man. So what's one person you would love to go hunting or fishing with and then have an interview? I've got two. Mine's Hank Parker or Michael Waddell.
Ooh.
Those are my guys. Grew up watching them, hunting, fishing shows. I would love to get in the woods with Waddell.
He's a tough one to beat. All right. So fishing, Michael Jordan.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'd like to meet Michael Jordan.
I'd play tiddlywinks with Michael Jordan.
Exactly. Exactly. I'd love to meet him. And, I was fortunate enough to go out to 2311 and to see his NASCAR team, and his culture that they've built there is just unreal. Like I'm not surprised if they're going to start winning everything. Right. And, so, I'd like to meet him and just, see what he's like in person and hang out with him for a good handful of hours. And what better way to do it on his fishing boat? I mean, they're winning everything.
Well, we're both at that age where it's like, you don't top him.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
That's the guy. So
hunting, maybe Tim Wells.
Okay.
Right. Maybe do some spear stuff in Africa or
that'd be cool.
Something of that nature.
Okay.
A little different. Maybe him. I don't know him personally or anything of that nature. But if we're going, with a hunting kind of mentor almost, if I can go just hunting with anybody, I don't know, it might be Charlie Sheen.
Ooh. That or I want to play golf with Charles Barkley.
Oh, that'd be cool too. Yeah. What's your ultimate foursome in golf?
Ooh.
So 3 other folks.
I don't golf because I'm obsessive with fishing, but I say Charles Barkley just because the iconic swing.
Mm-hmm.
Throw in, I don't know, maybe like if you're going the basketball route, Rodman and Jordan. I think it'd be like a fun little group there.
That would be. I'd be Tiger, Jordan, and maybe I don't know, maybe Charlie Sheen in there.
I mean, it's hard to beat Charlie Sheen doing anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just, I'm sure I know he knows a bunch of team guys and, but, and I'm sure he's heard the story a million times because my whole generation joined the SEAL teams because of him. Right.
Well, man, with like everything you do, so the way you're wired, is there a part of you that always needs like the next mission, the next challenge, or do you get older, you kind of settling in?
That's a great question.
It's like I find myself, I read this somewhere, and now it makes perfect sense to me. There's one thing highly driven people crave the most, and it's progress.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you're progressing and you're doing, I don't want to say better than before, but like just to go, back to outdoors. I caught a 10-pound, 11-ounce largemouth 7-8 years ago. That's my personal best. I've caught plenty of 6s, 7s, even an 8 since then. And it's fine, but it's like until I top what I've already done, it doesn't give that same joy. So I'm kind of always wanting to progress a little bit.
I have a lot of that as well, but I think, man, more than anything, I'm just a dreamer, and I'll set goals and like pursue them viciously. With Outsider, I have, investors, I got employees, and I'm not going to let them down, and that's just the bottom line there. So that's a little bit of a different drive. Right. And because I hate failure. And so I won't. Right. Yeah. But then, overall holistically in life, I'm just a freaking dreamer and maybe a glutton for punishment. Right. And because I keep getting into new, ventures and things of that nature. And, my time gets shorter and shorter. Right. So I just don't know any other way. I don't think. Right. And yeah, I have a couple businesses, busy as all get out, but I also have, I learned something recently. I have a company called The Ruck, and it's for leaders and executives and founders in the outdoor space, or guys extremely interested in the outdoor space. It's the ruck.org for anybody who wants to check it out. One of my members said something. We do 2 hunts a year, spring hunt and a fall hunt. We all do it together. And he's like, yeah, I'm super busy. And you know how it is. And the kids are home from the summer. The kids will stop you. And you have, you're only have 15 minutes for lunch anyway, because you have your next call or whatever is going on. And I've always said like, oh, not right now. Or like, ask your mom. Sure. And he's like, I started looking at it through a different lens, and I look at them as holy interruptions. Mm-hmm. And that has really allowed, looking at it through that lens, when my kids ask me for something or want my attention, giving it to them, because typically, what they want might take 30 seconds, maybe it's like 3 minutes at the most. Yeah. Right. And just laser focusing on them for that time, and just being thankful for where I'm at. Cause there's running business, how it is, it has peaks and valleys, and the peaks are high and the valleys are very low. Right. And so I'm working on maintaining, my mental stability, where not get worked up about the good things or the bad things. Be extremely thankful for my family, and because there's a time I would have done some grotesque things to be where I'm at now, and I just need to take some more time to be thankful. So I've been really focusing on that lately as well.
Gotcha, man. Well, final question we ask every guest: what do you love most about living in Middle Tennessee?
Man, it is the best place to raise a family. Man, my worries are low. Right. You don't have to worry about crime, around here. And the schools are great. I feel very comfortable. My kids love school. I feel very comfortable sending them to school. And, I've looked at homeschooling before as well, because I mean, our teachers are essentially raising our kids. They're there 8-9 hours. They get home at I'm with them an hour and a half in the morning and 4 hours in the evening, right? And so that's less time than they spend at school. So I'm very thankful for the schools here in Williamson County and the police department for how safe this area is, and I would say overall just what it's done for my family and the happiness it's brought to my girls. I got 3 little girls. They run around the neighborhood. They run with their friends, and it's just, you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, man. As a father of 3,
Mm-hmm.
it's a different place, man.
Yeah.
Well, brother, we got a gift for you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Dude, I appreciate you, my man.
Brother.
Hell yeah.
Got you a little hat there.
Hell yeah.
And, man, I'm honored to have met you, brother. And thank you for your service.
Thank you, buddy.
So,
Appreciate you.
let's go hunting.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
All right. Special thanks to everyone listening. If you ever need the assistance of an experienced local realtor, I would be honored to have that conversation with you. And thanks for coming back and joining us. God bless.